Heathen thought of the day.
Okay. In film, my two favourite genres are horror and comedy. However, I don't think that horror comedy as a genre works. It doesn't exist in the pure sense to me, because I can understand how there can be good horror comedies. Like, I really enjoy at least one of the Scary Movie movies.
That's just a comedy though, isn't it?
But that's the thing. It's just, if something is actually funny...
And that is really funny. That's one of the best comedy movies of all time, I think.
But if something is actually funny, it's no longer scary. And I know it's still, like, technically a horror movie because there's killings or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. But for me, horror implies that you're actually scared or horrified by the film. And if you're laughing, you're not scared or horrified. So it kind of cancels that out. And if it is scary, then it's not going to be funny. So horror comedy, I'm not saying should never do it, because I still, like I said, I know that horror in itself as a genre encompasses more than just making people scared. But in the truest sense of it, I just don't feel like it's a genre that exists, because one cancels out the other.
People always call, and I think even people that worked on it, call Scream and Scream 2 somewhat a dark comedy, right? I don't really get that. I just find it to be a slasher movie, a horror slasher movie with a couple of like quippy bits in it. It's not trying to meld horror and comedy together. There's no point where you're watching anyone die in those movies and you're laughing.
No, and even things like, you know, Toby Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, apparently he thought was a comedy. Even if there are bits where you can see the sort of like black comedy aspect of it, it's not funny.
He didn't think it was a comedy. He just thought that people missed the comedic bits that he thought he put in there. Yeah.
And I can see it when you think about it, but that is just like kind of pure horror, that one. I mean, that's, yeah.
What about, yeah, because I think even Shaun of the Dead is what considered the horror comedy.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, but it's not, it's just a comedy. Mm-hmm. Well, there's nothing horror about that film whatsoever.
No, I mean, you do
Just
have
like based on
zombies
zombies,
ripping guts out of a person, so that classifies it as horror, I suppose, but
But not really.
but as you said, it's comedy, really.
I think that coined its own thing, rom-com. Yeah.
And you, my dear, what's been going around your mind?
Yeah, I was thinking about Heathen, as I always do, every day, every second of every day, almost. And I was thinking about, again, like the melding of stuff. And I was thinking, you know, American stuff is... most of the stuff that I enjoy is American.
Right.
All of the... I think I counted yesterday, we got about 130 horror movies behind us. And the only English ones there are the Hellraiser movies. I count all of them as English because, you know, obviously it comes from Clive Barker. I'd also say Candyman is English because that's also Clive Barker. And I was thinking about what do we bring which is unique to horror, and I say England brings the grime. It brings the ultimate grime to horror, and I would say that Europe brings like the OTT pretentiousness, elaborateness, which only like Italians can do, kind of thing.
The artsy.
And then America brings like the paranoia. America has a thing about paranoias of the world and the sleekness. And I was thinking, actually, in Heathen, I've melded all those three things together. You know, I've told you how I want to shoot it and stuff like this, and just the story in general. The English grime is certainly there. You know, where I said that I mostly love and enjoy the American, you know, the history of American horror. Hellraiser and Clive Barker being is still my favorite. It's still my favorite one. I think it's unbeatable. And Hellraiser Part 2, Hellbound is true horror. That is, if you're going to describe what horror is, I'd say those two movies are particularly what it is. Yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm bringing elements of all three of those, because technically, even though we're Brexit in this country, we're still European. At least some of us think we are anyway. And I do love Italian horror movies, so of course I'm taking certain
And you love
elements from that.
Verhoeven.
Oh yeah,
and
of course, yeah. So obviously, I love European directors, and Paul Verhoeven being my favorite director of all time. If there was like a gun to
I
my
feel
head,
like they're a bit more gutsy. Like they're willing
They
to
are.
do stuff that's just weird and not necessarily mainstream.
yeah. And it doesn't matter what kind of movies they're doing, because Paul Verhoeven, taking an example, you know, you've got like the three-titted woman in Total Recall. You've got the ultra violence and satire of RoboCop, and then you go to Benedetta, one of his newer movies, and it still has just stuff which I've just never seen before, and things that just American directors wouldn't think or even dare of doing. But with me, we're not going to have to worry about that. So yeah, I was just thinking about what everyone kind of uniquely brings, and of course, all three of them bring other things as well. But I think that's really what, at its core, what all of them bring to
International
the table.
flavours of horror.
International flavors of horror, and I've got room for all of them, baby.